Dear students, today I am going to discuss about the challenges of constitutionalism, and this is the seventh unit of the comparative government and politics. When we're talking about the challenges before the constitutionalism, it's indicate that constitutionalism refer to the practice and principles of limiting government power through a constitutions that outline the framework of governments, the rights of individuals, and the rule of law. While constitutionalism is essential for ensuring the rule of law and protecting individual freedoms, it faces several challenges. Here are some of the detailed challenges of constitutionalism that is called the interpretations and flexibility. This is interpretations and flexibility, that is ambiguity in the language. When we're talking about the challenges before the constitutionalism, that is one of the important things, ambiguity in language. Constitutions are often written in broad, sometimes vague terms to allow for flexibility over the times. However, this can lead to a different interpretations, potentials, and resulting in conflicts about the true meanings of certain provisions. Second important thing, that is the judicial activisms and restraints. Courts play a very crucial role in interpreting the constitutions. However, there is often a tensions between the judicial activisms, where courts take an active role in shaping policy by interpreting the constitutions broadly, and judicial restraints, where courts differ more to the elected branches of governments. Both approaches can lead to dispute about the proper role of the judiciary. This is very important challenges before the constitutionalisms. Now we talk the amendment process of the constitution. Some constitutions are maybe called a rigid process. Some constitutions are difficult to amend, which can prevent necessary reforms from the being implemented. This rigidity can make it hard to adopt to new circumstances, such as a challenges in social value or technological advancements. Over amendments. On the flip side, if a constitution is too easy to amend, it can lose its stability and permanence. Frequent amendment can lead to the legal uncertainty and undermine the authority of the constitutions. Balancing majority rules and minority rights. When we're talking about the constitutionalism's challenges, one aspect that is majoritarianism. Constitutions often seek to balance the principles of the majority rules with the protections of minority rights. However, achieving this balance can be difficult. Majority groups may be pushed through the measures that infringe on the rights of minority, leading to social unrest and legal challenges. Third important thing, that is protections of minority. Ensuring that minority are protected often require a strong constitutional provisions and judicial enforcements, which can sometimes be politically unpopular or difficult to enforce. This is very important challenge before the constitutionalisms, that the protections of the minority. When we're talking about the minority, that minority are protected often requires a strong constitutional provisions and judicial enforcements, which can sometimes be politically unpopular or difficult to enforce. Next important challenge before the constitutionalisms is that is weak institutions. In some constitutions, the institutions responsible for the upholding the constitutions, such as judiciary or independent electoral body, may be weak, corrupt, or lack independence. This undermines the effectiveness of the constitutionalisms. Second important thing, that is the political will. When with the strong institutions, the effective enforcement of constitutional provisions depend upon the political will of those in power. If political leaders are not committed to upholding the constitutions, constitutionalism can be seriously compromised. This is very important task of the challenges of the constitutionalisms. Next important thing, that is the cultural and social factors before the challenges of the constitutionalism. Cultural compatibility. In some society, the principles of constitutionalism may conflict with deeply ingrained cultural or religious practice. This can lead to the resistance to the constitutionals and difficulty in implementing its provisions. Social divisions. In a highly divided society, such as those with the deep ethnic, religious, or ideological cleavage, constitutionalism may struggle to gain widespread acceptance. Competing groups may see the constitutions as a favoriting one groups over another's, leading to conflicts. This is very important task of the challenges before the constitutionalism. Next important challenges of the constitutionalism, that is globalizations and supranational influences. Global legal norms, as country become the more interconnected, global legal norms such as those established by international human rights treaty can sometimes conflict with domestic constitutional provisions. Balancing these norms with the national sovereignty is a challenge for constitutionalisms. Supranational organizations, the rise of supranational organizations like the European Union has introduced new challenges for constitutionalism, as national constitutions may sometimes conflict with the law and regulations imposed by these organizations. This is very important challenges before the constitutionalism, that is globalizations and the supranational organizations. Next important things of the challenges of the constitutionalism, that is erosions of constitutional norms, authoritarians and populisms. In recent years, there has been a rise in the authoritarians and populist movements around the world. These movements often seek to undermine constitutional norms by concentrating power in the hands of single leaders or party, weakening checks and balance and eroding the civil liberty. This is very important things. Undermining of democratic institutions. A growing challenge is the subtitles erosions of constitutional norms through actions like undermine the independence of the judiciary, restrictions, freedoms of press, and or altering electoral law to be benefit the ruling party. These actions can gradually weaken the constitutionalisms without overtly violating the constitutions. That is another challenges before the constitutionalism, that is economic inequality and access to justice. Economic inequality can make it difficult for a certain groups to access the justice. If only are wealthy can afford the legal representations, the protections offered by constitutional rights become uneven, favoring those with some resources. Second important challenge under the economic inequality, that is influence of money in politics. Economic power can translate into the political power and undermining the principles of constitutionalism. Wealthy individuals or corporations may exert undue influences over the political process, leading to policy that favor them at the expenses of the broader populations. These are the very important challenges under the economic inequality. Next, that is the challenges before the constitutionalisms is technology and privacy, that is surveillance. The rise of digital technology has created a new challenge for the constitutionalism. The particularly regarding the privacy rights, government may use surveillance technology in a way that infringe on constitutional rights, creating a tensions between security and the freedom. That means the surveillance is very important challenge before the constitutionalism. There is violations of the private, yeah, privacy of rights. Regulations of digital space. Constitutions often struggle to keep pace with the rapid evolutions of technology, particularly in areas like freedoms of speech, where the internet has transformed the public spheres. Regulating these space while protecting constitutional right is an ongoing challenge. This is very important parts of the regulations of digital space. Next, challenges before the constitutionalism, that is called the environmental challenge. Climate challenge, the need for robust response to climate change can sometimes clash with constitutional protections such as the property rights. Balancing environmental imperatives with constitutional rights is becoming an increasingly important issue in many countries. Next is resource allocations. As natural resources become scarce, constitutional principles related to the equitable distributions of resources may come under strains, particularly in the society where access to these resources is unevenly distributed. This is the important challenge before the constitutionalism. Next is that is challenges of the constitutionalism. That is the part of these challenges highlight the complexity of maintaining a constitutional systems, and that is both effective and just. The ongoing evolutions of the society, economic, and the technology means that constitutionalism must continually adapt while maintaining its core principles. This is very important part or challenges before the constitutions. Now I am going to the in brief of the challenges of the constitutionalism, that is called the ambiguity in the language. That means that there is so many languages that is written of the constitutions have some kind of the wage terms allow the flexibility over the times. Next challenge is that is judicial activisms and restraints. Court play crucial roles in the interpreting the constitutions. However, there is often a tensions between judicial activisms uh, and judicial restraints. Next is the all the challenges the amendment process. Some constitutions are rigid. That means that there is very less chances of amendment of the constitutions and over amendment. On the second side, constitutions are too easy to amend. And the balancing majority rules and the minority rights. Majoritarian constitutions often seek to balance the principles of majoritarian rule with the protections. Next is that is protections of the minority. This ensure that minority are protected offense require a strong constitutional provisions and judicial enforcement, which can sometimes be politically unpopular or difficult to enforce. Next, that is enforcement of constitutional provisions. Like the big institutions in some country, the institutions responsible for the upholding the constitution, such as the judiciary or independent electoral body, may be big, corrupt, or lack of independence. This undermines the effectiveness of the constitutionalism. Political will, even with the strong institutions, the effective enforcement of constitutional provisions depend upon the political will of those in power. If political leaders are not committed to the upholding the constitutions, constitutionalism can be seriously compromised. Next is cultural and social factors. Cultural compatibility and social divisions is also very important challenge before the constitutions. Globalization has supranational influence. That means that there are many institutions like the European Union, United Nations. These are challenges for the constitutionalisms. Erosions of constitutional norms, that is authoritarians and populisms and undermining the democratic institutions. Another things challenges before the constitutionalism, that is economic inequality, that is access to justice. Economic inequality can make it difficult for certain groups to access of justice. Influence of money in politics. Economic power can translate into the political powers, undermine the principles of constitutionalism. Wealthy individuals or corporations may exist, undermine the influence over political access. Technology and privacy is also very important challenge before the constitutionalisms. And environmental challenge like the climate change, resource allocations. And when we're talking about the last things, that the challenges highlighted the complexity of maintaining a constitutional system that is both effective and just. The ongoing evolutions of society, economic and technology means that constitutionalism must continue adapt while maintaining its core principles. Thank you for hearing these lectures of the on the challenges of the constitutionalisms.